everybody, and welcome back to Good Mic Hunting on We Bought a Mic, a podcast within a podcast on the films of Mr. Robin Williams. Today we're talking the one, the only.
The namesake of this podcast series.
The titular.
Good Will Hunting. I guess you could say this is We Bought a Mic, a pop culture Boston cast. Full on Boston pill.
Yeah, I'm surprised you're not wearing your dirty kitchen. Your Boston Celtics jersey.
Your rags.
I should have worn my Celtics jersey. I will not be sporting the Patriots look for a while. Until they no longer have two offensive coordinators. I'm just gonna kind of hide that side of myself.
Doesn't go well. Typically.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that.
yeah. As someone, you can probably speak from experience from that.
See, but we love the Dolphins even when they're shitty.
Yeah. Oh no, I love them. I'm going to support my boys. I'm actually a Dolphins fan now.
It's just the fact that they're bad, Hunter. It's not your fault. It's not your fault.
Thank you so much for saying that, Drew. Thank you so much.
Welcome to the show, everyone. My name's Ernest.
I had a few listeners of the pod know I like to kind of twinkle in some lines from the
twinkle
movie here.
in.
There's
I
one.
Sprinkle it.
There's
I
only
twinkle
one.
It.
This
there's
podcast shit. It's fucking easy to me. This is nothing.
How about there's apples? There's it's not your fault. But I just want to say that I think everyone will say it was cool. She had Billie Eilish style.
What?
Moving to Berlin for a little while.
What?
Trying to find something to hold on to. I'm going for a deep cut. I'm going for the song Good Will Hunting by Black Country New Road. My name is Hunter.
What the hell?
It's Good Will Hunter.
It's Good Will Hunter. Oh,
It was that easy. It was right there. It was a layup. It was a layup. I really thought you were going to take it.
No, well, I'm like Jimmy Butler, where the layup was open for me, and I just decided to pull it for a three and miss
That's
it.
tough.
You ran out of the stadium.
You were like
left.
I mean, if we're being honest, you were like two cool Kobe posts away from winning the finals.
Yeah.
Good Will Hunter.
Well,
I'm Goodwill Drew.
Okay, thank you.
Goodwill Danny.
Danny's back. Welcome back.
Actually, I actually had Mitz look it up. I've been on 16 episodes.
What the hell?
Nice.
Yeah.
Is
Are you
this
kidding?
16 or 17?
This is 17.
That's
Hell yeah.
fucked up.
Yeah.
Man, we're going to have to do something for 20.
I need stock options.
Yeah.
That's
you,
all.
buddy.
It's tanking. We haven't recovered from the pandemic yet.
I went too hard on AMC and Regal.
Yeah. Our IPO.
Yeah, I went to the moon.
Tanked.
It's not looking good for us. My entire 401k. I forgot to tell you guys, your 401ks are also
Liquidated completely.
Well, yeah. Brian did already break the news to us that he did have to liquidate all of our assets.
It's not looking good, guys.
yeah. Well, welcome back. I think this is your first movie review. Is
No,
that
I
true?
did Lord of War. I did
Lord of War. Okay. See, I did this last time with Gaia too. I think that the Nick Cage series, for some reason, is being erased from my memory the deeper we go into Robin.
That's fucked up. Because that was great. Those were good times.
I know they were,
I don't
but
want
it's
you to forget.
I can't. Every time I throw in another episode of House of the Dragon or Rings of Power, it's just something gets shuffled out of the brain.
Yeah, there's only so much space in your brain, and something has to leave, and you are just trying to remove the best thing that this podcast was ever a part of.
Well, I think it's safe to say this movie is just head and shoulders above Lord of War.
Oh,
at the
yeah,
very
for
least.
I don't know. I think the politics were better in Lord of War.
Okay.
Personally.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not going to speak on that. No, I'm not. I'm just going to throw that out there. That's it.
I think this is one of the better movies
It's an excellent movie.
have covered, not just in this series, but just in this entire 5-year run of We Bought a Mic.
Historically, Hunter has spoken against this movie for
on pod
since high school.
I know off pod.
I've never said anything, and there's no record recording evidence of that.
He's spoken very negatively
okay,
about it.
So let me go ahead. I thought we were going to get into it as we talked about
No,
this
it's
movie, but
not.
let's get into it now. So whenever I was younger, I naturally was like, oh, that's so corny. That's so cheesy. I didn't like it. This movie is corny as hell.
Very
This
nice.
movie is
Like that
Matt
fight
Damon
scene.
writing on the, no, not even that, him writing on the mirror, solving equations and shit like that. It is so cornball. But the thing is that
That's okay.
as I've gotten older,
That's
my
fine.
edges have softened.
It's
a
like
little bit
in
here.
1997, like it wasn't cool to hate on that stuff yet, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I don't know. It was I think like a lot of, patterns that are in that movie are used a lot today, like the janitor solving,
Of course.
also the corny fight scene, like them reacting to the janitor, like, oh, he's cracked the code,
Yeah.
like shit
And the
like that.
music's like,
It's so
genius.
dramatic.
So,
they make it seem fucking crazy when he like solved it. It's like, oh my God, he's done it.
Another thing about this movie is I feel like, at least in my mind, the film A Beautiful Mind made this movie like, because A Beautiful Mind sucks. That's a bad movie.
It was right around
Um,
the same time.
2002.
Oh.
It was a couple
2002.
years
Oh, so
later,
But
that's
yeah.
I
way
think
later.
that
Yeah.
the reason A Beautiful Mind went on to win Best Picture, and I think it's because a lot of people think that in a non-Titanic year, Good Will Hunting probably would have won Best Picture. So it's almost like a makeup award for this misunderstood genius, just who he never is going to be in the right place.
So-
and that's kind of why in my head this movie wasn't as good. But turns out this movie's fun. We just get to hang out with our Boston boys.
Yeah.
I loved this movie.
It was your first watch.
I mean,
What?
I know through osmosis, like it's not your fault.
It's been parodied so many
Yeah,
times on
but-
every show we've ever seen.
This was the first time I'd actually sat down beginning to end. And I'd seen, I've
Yeah,
seen the
clips and
main
stuff.
clips of like the therapy scenes and stuff. So that was
Yeah.
pretty familiar. But there was a lot watching it for the first time that like was shocking to me from Matt Damon's character point of view.
Yeah.
I didn't even know Stellan Skarsgård was in this movie.
Yeah.
That was a big surprise.
Minnie
Dude,
Driver's head is
Benny-
really big.
Benny Affleck.
Yeah.
Benny Affleck is my spirit animal in this
Oh,
movie.
yeah.
This is I
Man.
think maybe the most likable he's ever been, because in this movie all he's trying to be is like dumb idiot,
Yeah.
and so you like him.
He
A
does
dumb
it
idiot.
so
Like
well.
he's a dumb
Crucially-
prick.
Crucially, he loves Dunkin' Donuts.
Yes.
and I'm
sir.
so glad.
A hero
that,
is born.
Look, you know what? Like, don't ever change, King. Like, just you keep being you.
He's so
buddy.
cool. He's the best in this movie. Also, his brother is great in this movie.
Yeah.
Casey.
Good brother
He
banter.
he goes on to play that same like shithead idiot brother part in Ocean's 11, essentially. But
His character in Oceans has like some type of mental disability, I think.
Casey's
Those
kind of
two-
done
yeah,
this.
well, I mean, he does in this movie too. It's called Being from Boston.
The two brothers in Oceans are like the dumbest guys ever.
Well, why would they get invited to join the biggest damn heist this
'Cause
town's ever seen?
Because nobody would suspect them.
Yeah.
They're too stupid. Him and James Caan's son are too damn dumb.
Um,
We're going to talk a lot about Benny and Matt because also, I mean, most importantly, they won an Oscar for the screenplay of this movie.
Yeah.
They
Yes.
wrote this as the boys that they were back then.
Mhm.
The script famously, like a lot of people had passes on it. They went around Hollywood like asking for advice, like getting their names out there. They were hustlers back then. They weren't anything yet. So they were running around like trying to make this shit happen. Most notably, William Goldman had a pass on the script, who is known as maybe the greatest screenwriter of all time.
Yeah.
So, maybe he added a thing or
Maybe,
two.
yeah, maybe they,
who's
they
to
didn't
say?
wholly write everything. But I mean, I don't know if you guys saw kind of the rumor or like it's very like unfact checked from what I could see, but it was almost like a thing of the two of them wrote this script because they didn't like any of the parts that they were trying to get. Like they
Yeah.
basically were just getting like commercial jobs and like
a lot
just
of
getting odds
actor
and
writers
things.
say that.
A
That's
lot of
common.
them, well, a lot of them, or I mean, the two of them were kind of still living for the most part in New England, and they hadn't fully like moved
Yeah.
out to join the LA scene yet.
working
and it's-
construction jobs.
Yeah.
A lot of sledgehammers.
A lot of
Janitor stuff.
lot of laying brick, a lot of laying brick.
Yeah, you
which
say
is an
that again.
honest. It's an honest job.
It's an honest job.
Yeah.
I do want to say, just because I don't want to get lost talking about Stellan Skarsgård, who wears scarves better than Stellan Skarsgård? That man has a perfect neck for a scarf.
One
I
long
wish
scarf.
that I had the neck for like a scarf or a shawl. Like just throughout this entire movie, he's just very thin scarves, and he's just rocking that.
More like Stellan Skarsgård.
Man.
Am I right?
I thought of that and then I just didn't say it. Because you didn't
So-
have to.
We mentioned the Academy Awards. This film was nominated for Best Picture, Best Actor Matt Damon, Best Actress Minnie Driver, Best Director Gus Van Sant, Film Editing, Music, Danny Elfman, doing a very different score.
He in this
Than we
movie
usually
he
hear.
composed the Flubber Mambo, I think.
Yes, that's what it says here. Yeah.
Well, do you remember the end of like the credits where it says Goodwill Hunting Mambo? Director.
Most notably, though, it did win Best Original Screenplay and Best Supporting Actor, Robin Williams.
Who won Best Lead Actor this year?
Hunter
It's
off the
not
top.
Leo.
98.
It could have been Leo. He does great in Titanic.
Is it someone who was also in a movie that was nominated for Best Picture?
Why are you asking
I didn't.
for hints?
I did
just
not
asked
do
to
any
answer the damn question.
Well, I know this is the Titanic year. The thing is that Titanic won like all of the fucking.
I know, but it
awards this
didn't.
year.
But it didn't win that.
It didn't win Best Actor. Who was it? Was it a Legacy Award type of guy?
Probably.
It's an
Was it-
older guy.
I
Um,
ask because
It was nominated for Best Picture. Yes.
because I think Matt Damon could have won Best Actor for this movie.
He's really
I
good.
think he's the
Yeah.
best part of the movie.
Yeah.
I think he's better than the directing and better than the script. I think is him because a lot. Hold on. Will you just answer the question?
It's Jack O.
Okay.
Jack Nicholson.
Okay.
As
Yeah.
good as it
Oh,
gets.
that's right. As good as it gets was this year. Okay. Yeah,
Um,
that makes sense.
A lot of this movie is monologuing, and it's not always the best. Monologuing in general, obviously, can be hit or miss depending on what you're looking for. A lot of the monologuing in this movie is smart guy monologue, like a guy talking really, really fast to prove to you how smart he is. Sometimes it comes across as a little bit Ben Shapiro-y, where it's more about the speed at which
Yeah,
he's talking
straight
than it
shooter.
is like the content being smart. If you really were to slow it down, you'd be like, yeah, this is like this like
I
makes sense.
I don't know about you guys, but I did at one point because I just had subtitles on at my house, and like if you read out the words,
Yeah, that's what I'm
it's
saying.
not as like
No,
as
it's
well
not.
articulate. But Matt Damon, when he was just
He
out there,
has
just
the-
mile a minute,
He's
just
well, and he's
spitting
also
things
like
out.
usually when someone is talking like that, they end up sounding like Sheldon from
Yeah.
fucking Big Bang Theory. You know, they sound like a dork.
Bazinga.
And he maintains the Bostonness. He maintains like the shitheadness while he's saying lines that have nothing to do with that character.
Fuck.
He's the
yo.
entire reason the whole movie works. I think is Matt Damon performing.
He's really good.
He's so fucking good in this. Young Damon was just like an absolute beast.
I mean, all the therapy scenes, just the back and forth.
he's holding like he's more than holding his own with
Incredible.
Robin, and Robin's wins the Oscar for this, and he's like well seasoned at this point. They're going at it like it's a 2-man ensemble in those scenes.
Did this movie make therapy cool?
Well, I think it is a notable step in that direction, but I think 98 is still way too early
It
for
was
that.
too early, but I felt like this
Well,
was the first like
It
It's
was
not.
step
They
where it
don't.
was-
They don't. It's not it's not stigmatized in the movie in the way that like a lot of movies right before this. It's like, oh, you gotta go see a fucking shrink, dude. Like it's
Yeah.
more of like just this
Yeah.
like whole like, oh god, oh this is like
Therapy
so
was cool.
taboo.
Therapy was cool in the 70s, and then like everything went backwards in the 80s.
Tony
But, like,
Soprano made therapy cool.
And
that
yeah,
was
there
like
you
when
go.
it happened.
in the 70s, Woody Allen would be like, "Oh, I gotta go see my analyst." They call it an analyst.
Yeah,
I gotta tell her about all the
they don't. They notably
touching.
they never say therapy. They call it counseling.
yeah.
It's counseling.
Okay, and I
Um,
like that there's no scene in which Damon tells all his bros that he has to see a therapist and they all give him shit for it. 'Cause
Yeah.
that scene would just stick out like a sore thumb. if
Yeah,
that
put it in
was-
the wrong
Oh,
direction.
there's a couple.
Yeah.
There's a couple of those scenes that haven't aged great just because it's the 90s.
It's a
but,
90s
Oh
It's-
yeah, they're
it's
using the
fine.
R word left and
Um,
right. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but it is what it is. It's a product of its time.
Let's-
And it's fucking dudes from Southie in the 90s, okay? It's not like they're the most politically correct human beings in the world.
Let's talk about the R word.
Yeah.
Robin.
Yeah.
What are your takes on Robin?
I think he
is
was.
he your guy?
I think he was excellent in this movie. My favorite part was like the moment that they first meet, and like they're going through like they're just talking, and Robin's just listening, and then he like instantly Matt Damon starts giving him shit for like oh, this painting sucks, blah blah blah, like shit like that, and then like the moment he talks about his wife, he's like, that's the fucking line. You don't talk about my wife. Oof. Like that was like the biggest moment where it's like, that's when Matt Damon kind of like Will Hunting. Will had the first moment. Yeah. Stop that. Yeah. He had the first moment of respect for him. He was like, okay, he's not, backing down to me. I thought that was like the cool Robin moment. And then obviously at the end, like there's like most of my notes are the good quotes from it, and you still see some of these quotes in other movies. Like I got to go see about a girl kind of
how
thing.
You like them apples.
Yeah. How you like them apples. I love that scene.
Great just movie moments in such tiny ways. Like this movie, I don't know, watching it, like I kind of realized that whenever I watch a movie for the first time, and I want to give it like that 5 stars, 10 out of 10, it's usually, in my personal subjectivity, a big, like almost like a sci-fi, like transport you to another world type of movie is what I personally gravitate towards as to like really sending me over the moon. This movie, everything it does to put it in that place where you want to give it that 5 stars is the tiny little things. It never goes big. There's almost 0 scenes where it's like really going heavy with emotion or heavy with intense drama. It's just a very carefully calculated series of character moments that all link together. Like every tiny little thing, every little setup, every line.
Yeah, there's no wasted
all
moments.
Clicks together. Yeah. And it doesn't jump out at you as like, wow, you really need to give your praises to this incredible cinematic achievement of a movie. Yeah. Like we just brought up Titanic, that's a big movie that just begs you to give it 10 out of 10 5 stars because it's just this massive thing. And this one is kind of like this opposite end of a certain spectrum that it's not doing that.
We got to mention it's Miramax.
Oh, what's his face? Weinstein,
Mr. Harvey Weinstein. Was this the beginning of Miramax's reign on the Oscars?
So it's right around this time. We are approaching a time where Miramax, I think I wrote it down I believe it was for my review of The English Patient. I can find it out in just a second.
Well, Shakespeare in Love was like one of the biggest ones that
English Patient won Best Picture in 96. So I think that was the year before this. And then that sets off a run where I think that they get a stupid amount of Best Picture nominations in like a run kind of climaxing with Chicago.
And they're typically like the typical Miramax movie, if you were to like do it by type, is like this. Like it's small stakes, it's smaller scale. I guess you would call it medium budget by today's standards because a low budget movie today is like $20,000.
Yeah. At least one movie star.
Yeah, that's the thing. The budget is spent on stars and directors. Like they get people to direct and be in these movies. Like there's talent behind them. They're just not about anything huge. They're not in the business of making blockbusters, but they are still selling out theaters because you can do that if you have people in your fucking movie. Unfortunately, that's not so much the case anymore. You need to have a blockbuster that also has famous people in the movie now.
Yeah, this was only a $10 million budget, made 225 mil.
Well, this was also back when they used to put movies back in theaters post Oscars.
Yeah, they would. You got the nominations and then do the re-release and make an extra couple mil to add to the budget. So in between the period, it's an 11-year run. Miramax, and then subsequently comes the Weinstein Company. 15 Best Picture nominations in 11 years and won it 4 times, including 3 times in a 6-year span.
Yeah.
So it is unbelievable. Harvey Weinstein knew how to mount a campaign, an awards
Don't
campaign.
don't say it like that.
Phrasing.
That unfortunately that wasn't the only thing that he did, and he's a horrible human being, and we won't use any other. We will not speak of his name again. But
he rot in hell.
No, fuck that man. He also kind of broke Hollywood and the award show and showed how they could be gamified in a way. See The English Patient and movies like fucking Chicago winning Best Picture. Like, he knew how to
it
how
wasn't
to break
always
the system.
The result wasn't always actual good movies like
or
this
Shakespeare.
Shakespeare in Love.
Shakespeare in Love beating Saving Private Ryan. That is fully like just knowing how to play the game.
Yeah, because Oscar bait. Like this movie, you could call like awards bait. It just also happens to be a good movie.
But it's nice because like this was awards bait in the 90s, early 2000s, and this movie just like doesn't really exist anymore. Like that's kind of something that made me like. It made me weirdly nostalgic while watching this movie because I was like, man, like, why don't we get movies like Good Will Hunting anymore? They're like that are just kind of like young, kind of coming of age-ish adult dramas with a couple young budding movie stars, that well-written script. It's not action heavy or anything like that, but it just is something. It's a movie that's for adults, clearly, but it's like endlessly quotable. It's not just like this drag of like it's an actor showcase movie or like something like that. Like, it's interesting. Robin Williams wins the Academy Award in this movie, and it's not that many shades away from the actor that he was playing in Awakenings, which is like the worst, the most unwatchable movie that we've done of this whole Robin scene.
I had that same thought.
He's very understated throughout this entire movie, but
he needs to learn to live a little.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
but
like
it's
the third time that he's
a
played a
bit.
guy who like learns to live a little by the end of the movie.
The beard does a lot.
And this is
too.
the only time it really works because he has a lot of Dead Poets Robin in him. Like he has like a heart in this movie. Like, you know what I mean? Because like I said in the Flubber app, he is capable of having zero charisma in a movie if he wants to. If he thinks he's playing a character that doesn't have charisma, he will really not have charisma, and it's really jarring to see that on a big screen.
Have you seen Flubber recently, Danny?
Not recently. I watched it when I was a kid.
You'd be surprised. It's really bad.
Yeah, it's not great. You'd be surprised at the lack of flubber in the movie. Flubber.
It was so much fun when I was a kid, though.
Right?
Yeah. I have to admit. Like, I liked it.
He goes off. He's like bouncing off the walls.
Oh,
just
yeah.
like
He's the
Flubber.
worst human being you've ever met in your entire life. I did want to ask, though, because we're talking about Robin as a whole. Danny, what is like your relationship with Robin? Like, what are
a lot of
your
the
memories of Robin?
A lot of movies that I watched as a kid had Robin Williams in it. So like when his death happened, it hit pretty hard, you know, because like we're now getting to the age that like people we liked as kids are like going on, you know, and like seeing this movie, I watched it post Robin, and it was just like, damn, like. We lost a good one, and this was just a movie that I didn't watch until, later on, and finally rewatching it, I'm like, damn, this is still such a great movie. Like I said, that like the quotes in it are just like, after rewatching it, I was telling Mitz that like, the scene where she tries to give Will her number, and his friend's like, oh, I swallowed a bug. You know, I'm gonna start using that when I want to get, to get out of shit. Like, I swallowed a bug. You know,
that's really good.
Yeah, I like
that whole scene plays out so well.
The how you like them apples, like how it ends.
Just the entire interaction with those girls, and then that guy. Who is that guy? The blonde douchebag,
Michael Bolton looking dude.
Like. That guy comes in just like ultimate heat check. You think he's going to be this whole thing. Immediately gets
smoked.
It's
snuffed
so
out. Yeah.
It's so good, especially like the reveal of like he's literally just like memorized other people's criticisms and thoughts about things.
Yeah.
Like he has no original thoughts of his own.
Which is absurd how much Matt Damon's character knows. Like Will Hunting knows.
My friend's
like,
wicked smart. I say that about Ernest
Wicked
every time
Smart's
that we
great.
go out to the bar.
Wicked Smart's great. Yeah.
I really want throughout this episode for Hunter to flex his Boston chops
Oh, don't worry, it'll come throughout the podcast.
This
And-
movie is Boston.
It's
so goddamn
man,
Boston.
It's so Boston. We're showing archival footage of the 1975 World Series, baby. That's how fucking
That was
Boston we
such
are.
a good scene. Robin, that was such a good Robin moment. He
Yeah.
just, I feel like I really want to just put this as my favorite Robin movie we've covered, because this role encapsulates everything that we've seen up until this point. All of Robin's talents are perfectly encapsulated in this role.
Yes.
And it's not too much. It's like a perfectly balanced calibration
all of his
everything.
all of his dramatic talents.
Mhm.
I would
all the
say.
dials. But he's funny. This guy, there are
He's-
good
he's
comedic
funny.
moments.
But
So
he's not
this
like
is-
epic mode.
No, this is a movie that is like making me really think that we have to completely reinvent the Robin scale. That it's not. We're thinking about this too, like the Robin scale as we currently
It's not
have it.
linear.
For listeners who don't know, at the end of this episode, we're gonna have some categories. And currently we're judging Robin on the Nick Cage scale, of like how on a scale from like 1 to Genie and Aladdin is like Robin going balls to the walls. I feel like now at this point, this marks a stage in Robin's career where you can judge the 1 through 10 on like how warm he is. Because
Yeah.
that's like, that becomes such a key component of Robin Williams in this later stage. It's just like, he's just like the dad that you've always wanted.
Yes.
He's just like that perfect, like warm figure that you just gravitate towards. And he has so much of that in this movie. Is he a great therapist? I have some thoughts. As someone who has gone to counseling before,
I mean, he said he
I don't-
just teaches the shit, man. He doesn't actually do it.
I mean, I have been choked out by my therapist a couple of times, but like, you know.
Questionable methods for sure.
Yeah.
One of my favorite scenes in their therapy was like the first moment that like him and Will were smiling, and it was when he was talking about his wife's farts.
Yeah,
Like
Yes.
it was just like, and then how it got like so sad at the end. It's like, that's what I remember. And he talks about the imperfections that aren't really imperfections. It's just what you love about them, kind of thing.
Perfect scene.
Yeah, and that's a great example of like a two-hander scene where him and Damon are both bringing so much like star power. Like the wattage of their smiles is fucking insane.
And it's just close-ups on their face.
Yeah,
There's
and they're
nothing
like-
fancy.
And
Well,
you're
and the
smiling.
laughing-
You're
That's
smiling.
the Gus
man.
Van
Well,
Sant special.
but the laughing is real. Like this
Yeah.
this movie is just littered with these crazy genuine moments that especially you don't get from young actors like Damon, like where he is like really like busting a vein in his forehead laughing so hard.
There's a
You don't see that in movie. Like that's really really rare, especially in the 90s. The 90s were like a time of sort of fakeness.
Yeah.
There's
for
a
sure.
story apparently while shooting that scene that the cameraman was laughing so hard that you can see a little bit of shake in the shot during one. I think it is more prominent in the close-up of Robin, obviously, because they were filming his close-up and he's delivering the story of the farting. And apparently, yeah, they said that the cameraman just couldn't keep it together and was shaking just the tiniest little bit, and they kept it in the movie.
That's so good.
They didn't redo it.
But that was deeply relatable scene because, brother, I've woken myself up with a fart before. I don't know about you guys. but,
Really?
yeah, I've definitely woken myself and been like, the fuck was that?
No, I haven't woken myself up.
I've woken up.
I've woken up other
wife of the
people.
podcast Gaia before with my gas.
Every
I'm a
night.
very gassy guy at night.
Yeah.
So
At night.
I lay on my
yeah,
left
at
side.
night
and-
you are, Hunter.
no, literally strictly at night. Otherwise, it's Moo is just always around me who's farting.
It
I've
did
never farted once.
Just
in my
get
life.
us express passes into Halloween Horror Nights.
Save it
so
for ketchup. Save it for
I'm
ketchup.
very thankful for your farts at this moment in time.
It's
So
for a different podcast.
so
They're go ahead. Yeah.
no, you go.
I was gonna ask a question. Does Ben Affleck, in fact, have a Tootsie Roll dick? Does he?
You'd have to ask Jennifer Lopez. I don't know.
I know she left it, but came back.
dude, so
Right.
that is
She keeps coming back.
she
one of the-
keeps coming back.
one of my favorite lines
It's
in
not
the
for his
entire
personality.
movie is that Ben Affleck gives that scene. He's just like, there's only so many times you can bang your wife's future, your friend's future wife. That's so good. So much of this movie, there's like a real genuineness to everything because this is just a bunch of friends. Like they definitely were just out having these
Yeah.
conversations, just like fucking with each other. And then Matt and Ben were like, all right, we gotta use some of this stuff. Like this is crazy. The scene specifically that comes to mind is the friend. I don't remember if it's Casey Affleck or not. But the guy in the friend group who goes up to Ben Affleck's mom's bedroom to jerk off using her VCR player, and then uses Ben Affleck's glove, his little league baseball glove.
Oh
And he's just
my
like,
God.
"Nah, I just use it to finish in."
That's weird.
That must have been a real thing that happened.
That's what I'm saying. That's
Yeah.
so weirdly specific.
Yeah,
that that's
very
just-
specific.
That's a thing that definitely happened.
Yeah,
in
they were
their
like, we
childhood.
have to put this in the movie, and they're probably like, what?
And Goldman's was like, I'm gonna scratch this, right? And they're like, no, this has to stay in.
Leave the jerking off.
They
baseball glove
probably
scene.
did. They probably did take it off the script, and then they just improv'd it back on set, and
And Gus was like, oh, let's just let it.
whatever.
The genuine stuff also, it's another like really crucial part of the movie because it helps you suspend your disbelief when things get dumb, because like obviously the level of mega genius he is just stupid. Like his IQ is like 300. It's the highest recorded ever. Like you can't just, there's not a genius in the world who can just flip through a book like it's a fucking like a flip book and just be like, I know all of that.
It's all
Yeah.
yeah.
Like that's not real.
It's not grounded in the reality of even a movie like A Beautiful Mind, where it's based off of like actual types of geniuses. This is a man. It's not just photographic memory, because like he picks up on things that he has never seen before. He's writing theorems that don't exist.
Yeah.
That's not photographic memory. Photographic memory is just, I saw this on a page like 7 years ago and I can now
he
recreate
comprehends
that.
it all.
Yeah.
One thing that I like that the script did is it doesn't try to explain the math stuff to us. It just like, it literally is just like, Skarsgård writes it on the board.
Some,
He's
like,
like,
X
yeah, this is hard.
+2s.
No one's ever
Yeah.
solved it. And that's all I need to know, man.
Yeah.
I don't want them to go any farther into it. Yeah, and a lot of movies try to do that. They at least give you mumbo jumbo, where it's like two characters talking about it, and even if you don't get it, it's like, well, clearly they know what they're talking about. They don't even do that.
Well-
like they're like, listen, it's hard, okay? Like, what else do you want to know?
We do have someone on the podcast today that did take advanced physics.
Danny, did you
I mean,
pause
What
the
were the
screen and
most
solve
what were the
that
most
theorem?
advanced physics classes that you took?
Well, a lot of the stuff they were doing, it wasn't really physics; it was mathematics. So it was
It was mathematics.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the whole thing.
Whoa, okay.
Well, that's the whole-
Hey, my
He
guy out here doing his science and shit.
He got the award for combinational mathematics, right? And so it was.
You think I'm some kind of smart guy that
the
can
most
figure
I
this
did?
out?
The most I did was Diffie Q, but like the only thing that like looked
Differential
actually real-
equations for the
Oh,
kids
sorry.
at home.
Thank you.
Yeah, the most real thing they did was like when he like added a couple I don't know, like extra parts of the equation to make it seem simpler, and they were canceling out
Yes.
to make it seem simpler. That was like the only mathematical. Everything else was like random variables, and like they talked about like derivatives and stuff like that, but like
So you're confirming right now, we have an exclusive breaking news that all the physics in Good Will Hunting,
it checks out.
it's all fake.
No,
All
it's
the
real.
math, all the math is fake math.
It has to be real. A
It's
janitor solved it. Okay,
It's all fake.
a 20-year-old janitor.
My man cannot stop solving equations. Just throughout this movie, he like,
He's
even when it's
addicted.
like detrimental to him, like he cannot stop. He sees a problem and he's like, I just have to fix
Yeah,
it.
that's not a thing. Like, it's not some, like, you know how he was explaining the whole, like, oh, Beethoven looks at a piano, he just fucking gets it. No, that's like, you don't just know organic
It's-
chemistry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
you
it's
learn
not.
it.
That's, yeah, you have
Exactly.
to learn it. Like, he's not like, oh, fuck yeah, this it adds up, you know? It's not a thing.
He's like, yeah,
you
you
know?
kids were
But
reading.
it's part of the movie, and they don't try to explain it. It's just like, okay, he's a genius. And like,
yeah,
he just,
it's also another move I like in the script that's similar, like it's related to that, is they make it very clear that Stellan Skarsgård is also a genius and he's very esteemed, but there's a conversation where he's like, there's only a few people on earth who would recognize the difference between me and you, talking to Damon, because like there's levels to it. And that's a true thing about any field, is like the difference between them is like insignificant unless you're one of like the only people in between
Right.
them on the list.
I think it was more so the fact that Jerry had to work for it while Damon was just kind of born with it, you know? And that was like, I'll never be what you are because you were born with it. Like he spent years getting the Fields Award or whatever. Another thing I really liked was how both Jerry and Sean, roommates in college, wanted the best for Will.
Yeah.
And Jerry thought him getting the job now would have been what gets him out of, beating people up, the assault, drinking every weekend, while Robin was like, he needs to fight the demons first before he can do that. And it was just very interesting watching them.
It's like two parents.
And they both had like
Parents that he never had.
They both had like past situations that where they went at each other's necks, like come at like for the reasoning as to why they wanted to do it. So it was like two parents fighting, but it was like they both wanted to help them.
But in the best interest of their child.
And it was super cool.
Child.
But like in the end, Robin definitely wins the battle because Robin knew exactly what he needed. And it was because he understood him,
Yeah.
Now seems like a good time that I have some thoughts on like the general Boston judicial system. So you could have like 12 counts of aggravated assault, grand theft auto, all this stuff. And if you just go into a courtroom and like...
And you say, hi, I'm white.
And you say...
Like, please.
Well, not just I'm white, but I think Stellan has some kind of pull.
Well, no,
with the judge. The judge that has the craziest wig I've ever seen.
It's such a bad wig. Just make that man bald. I don't know who on the costume team was like, I have to do this, or maybe he insisted on it. Just get a different extra at that point.
Stellan definitely had. He was like, I'm a professor at MIT. Like,
here's the thing: if I ever get arrested, guys, I'm just gonna start like researching 18th century court rulings that might rule in my favor, because it turns out that if you just do that in courtrooms, you can just get any case thrown out.
It's that simple.
It's just that simple. And then, like, as long as you have somebody be like, well, don't worry, I'll keep an eye on him, then you can just also get away with like 25 years in prison. One of you guys, whenever I eventually go to jail for tax evasion, if you guys like come to me and you're just like, don't worry, I'll keep an eye on this guy, then bail me out.
I'll watch this knucklehead.
Thank you.
Is gambling?
He's a sports betting genius.
Yeah, I'm saying tax evasion from all of the profits that I'm losing.
Yeah.
Okay, so I wanted to go back to the very beginning because I had just a couple notes about like the first act of the movie. The opening sequence has two things that I wanted to point out that are really good. So the kaleidoscopic like design of it, I thought was really cool.
Trippy.
And also the fact that when the written by credit comes on the screen and it says written by Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, their names match up with them on the screen walking towards the camera. And it's just like little touches like that. I was like, yeah, that's right.
Gus Van Sant's great. Like he's kind of the lost piece of this movie, the director. And
I haven't seen a lot of his films.
I haven't either. I need to see more of his like filmography, especially like in the early 2000s. But like his hallmark is just letting actors act. And I'm gonna get super, super close up on your face and just like trust in you to like get the emotional pull out of you. Like skipping ahead, the "it's not your fault" scene is corny as fuck on paper. It's so corny on paper, and
it works.
It works so well. It feels earned because of like the lead up to it in the movie, but it's because it's just like this shot, and it's just like stays the same shot of Matt Damon. It's not your fault. It's not your fault, and just like kind of just keep saying it over and over again, and it does kind of break you down there. It's great.
The other thing I wanted to bring up is just in general, Will Hunting's hair, the haircut.
Immaculate.
So this is a whole 90s floppy hair.
Well, now
look.
it's TikTok boy hair.
It's back now for sure.
What are they called? E-boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now it's so exaggerated to the point that their hair is fully in their eyes. You can't. They have to like get it out of their eyes.
Damned kids.
And their TikTok dances.
It's not as exaggerated in this film, but it's strangely enough, Matt Damon voiced a character in the film Titan AE that has this exact same hair. and they modeled it off of both Milo in Atlantis: The Lost Empire and whatever the fuck that guy's name is in Treasure Planet. So they all have Treasure Planet, and so some of these kind of spill over into the 2000s, but it's still that same style. Also, John in Terminator 2.
Oh, I mean, it's a boy band haircut too. Like, we're right in that time of the late 90s, early 2000s. You brought up the hair and just the look in general. Matt Damon's a little cutie pie.
Oh yeah.
And I want to take us back to 1997 real quick. And we have to have the debate. We have to have the tough talk.
Oh no.
Because it was a big topic of discussion in 1997. Who's the biggest cutie pie? Matt Damon or Leonardo DiCaprio?
It's not close. It's Leo. The whole reason
Leo
that,
also has the hair.
So Leo won the debate,
Same
but I'm
haircut.
just saying that in 1997, this was the debate: is who is the bigger cutie pie?
Well, and the
right
reason
now.
that him and Ben did this movie and it like helped their career so much is because they were both picking up the fucking scraps that Leo threw on the ground when he said no to a role, because he was
Yeah.
God. He was Jesus Christ in the late 90s.
I mean, if you go back to the mid 90s, like we were little toddlers, so we don't know.
Maybe
But
you guys.
You were approximately 35.
35 at that point.
Yeah. Okay. So you know that
you were reading GQ then, right? You were reading J14, huh? You were in on the goss.
every single girl was fully in love with Leo.
Yeah.
Like 100,000,000%.
Yeah.
I don't think that was the case with Matt. Like, I think Matt Damon was like the dark horse a little bit. Like, if you were like a film,
If
a
you want to
cool
get yelled
film
at a
girl.
little,
he was like Leo, but he looked a little beat.
I'm telling
Yeah.
you guys, this
No.
was a real topic. I've talked about it before with like my sister, because Heather was around. She was a teenage girl during this time. And it was a real debate of Leo came in. What's funny is Leo became a little cutie pie off of What's Eating Gilbert Grape. That was the movie that everyone was just like, man, he's such a hunk, which is weird to come out of that movie in hindsight. But whenever Matt Damon busted onto the scene with Good Will Hunting, it was a real thing of like who is this guy? This bad boy from Southie. Like, he's the bad boy of these like cute little.
He's got a black
cute
eye.
little hunks.
Yeah,
bloody
he's
lip.
he's like squintier. He has like horse teeth.
Yeah.
He's like mega cutie. And then Ben
He
Affleck.
bought a zoo, Drew. You can't say that about him.
And then Ben Affleck's fatal flaws. He just looks like a douchebag. Like he's super good looking. But
His
he looks like,
jawline is insane.
I just
in
saw
this movie.
Armageddon for the first time, and he just looks fucking annoying, bro. It's like, dude, you can't make him the star. Like in the early 2000s, he's too attractive, but not in a good way.
Yeah,
you know?
he's in like a villain way.
Yeah.
Hold on. Pull up that picture that you just had of the two of them, because I want to talk about the fits. The outfit.
Ben
that-
Affleck's tracksuits.
Yes,
Fucking
swag.
own,
So
man.
this-
so good.
This turtleneck jacket combo that he has going on is fucking incredible.
I have
I-
multiple of my notes in here are about the fits in this movie.
Yeah, the old school
Several.
cool was very strong in this
Yeah.
movie. Like it was like the knocking on your buddy's door and he's fucking dressed, ready to go. Like,
Yeah.
and he always came out.
slick back,
Yeah.
real nice.
It's
Pushed back. It's not slicked.
Ben's his pushback. I'm
Ben
looking at
used
right
to
now.
be a piece of shit, but he's not.
no,
anymore.
he's definitely still
in
a
this.
piece of shit.
He's a piece of
People
shit.
can
He's eating
change.
chicken spaghetti at Ciccolini's right now.
He just he spent his whole early career fighting against the inherent unlikability of his face, and it was really hard for him. I genuinely think like this is a tough look to have, because he looks too much like he's like a Calvin Klein model and not enough like an actor who you
Yeah.
actually think is a human.
He's a B teamer that ended up on the A team.
Yeah, he
Right.
just
Yeah.
you just don't like him inherently. Like Damon, you do. He has the biggest,
But none of
toothy,
these
like,
guys,
goofy smile. You know,
none of these guys were A team in this time.
no,
In
well, not
98?
not
back
97.
then.
No,
I think eventually they
Eventually,
ended up-
right.
No,
I
but
mean,
then- well, but
they
then-
they became A-list very quickly.
Yeah.
Within 2 years, we have Armageddon, we have Talented Mr. Ripley, and it's like they're at the top of the food chain. This movie was a goddamn phenomenon. Like we can't really underestimate that, and ended up being overshadowed a little bit because Titanic also came out this year, which
that was the phenomenon,
the biggest movie ever made.
Yeah.
But also this movie was like
this was like the cool movie.
Yeah, this was the film nerds
the indie
movie.
Yeah,
It's just like, we don't need your fucking blockbusters, Jimmy Cams. That's why I call James Cameron. I call him Jimmy Cams.
We need to backtrack for a second because I have so many questions about this little crew that goes to Little League games. What is happening, dude? Why are they at a Little League game?
Dog, let me so it's one of them. No, one of them. It's one of the friends has a kid who's there.
I did not clock that.
Yeah, I didn't.
Did they say that?
I'm pretty sure. They did. Are they just added?
They're just drinking beers at a Little League game. Like,
dog, that's gonna be me at.
We got a game 2 p.m. Saturday. You down?
Here's
a bunch of 8-year-olds.
I cannot wait to have children just so that I can like be drinking at the Little League game. I'm gonna like organize like an underground like betting ring at my children's game.
I got 5 on Timmy going fucking yard tonight.
I'm gonna teach my kid the importance of sandbagging. Like, I'm really going all in. I'm just going full degenerate mode, and I really respect these kids for doing it.
Is this a Boston thing where like people always have to hang out at the local baseball
I think it was a
fields?
90s thing. Yeah. It was like a poor 90s thing.
Baseball
like
is still super
thing.
popular up there. Like super popular. It has been for years since they were one of the first teams, right?
Boston Red Sox? Yeah, I mean the Sox have been around for
they
fucking
invented
forever.
the game.
Curse of the Bambino. I think that it's just more of like, they're all fucking broke and it's in the city. Like, there's that one line earlier on where they're like, oh, we don't have time to go to this place. It's 15 minutes out of the way. You just want to go there, like, check out the to-go girl. And it's like, 15 minutes, what the fuck do you need extra 15 minutes for? Like, we aren't doing anything. None of them, I guess Ben Affleck has a job, but for the most part, the other two dudes seemingly just don't have jobs. They just go to the same local bars and just, like, drink all day.
They gave me really Trailer Park Boys vibes.
Yeah, no, it basically is like, what do they do? Like, what do you do?
What is your job? It's tables.
It's tables. No, that's, like, literally, they aren't really doing anything. So, like, who cares? It's fine.
The other question
Let
I
them
had
drink
is,
at Little League games.
So, you are the Boston expert, Hunter. Like, you are from Boston, as we all know.
Yeah.
So you can answer.
Born and raised in Southie myself.
He was born in the same hospital as Tom Brady.
Tom Brady was born in Southern California. So I'll never be a true Bostonite.
It's true.
We all know
Unlike
Guinness.
me.
Guinness is very Boston, right? We all know this.
Guinness is not Sam Adams, not something that's actually from Massachusetts.
That's what they're drinking. That's what they're drinking in the movie.
Well, it's Irish, yeah.
I didn't pick the prop. I'm just saying what's in the movie.
Don't say some anti-Irish Catholic shit right now.
What I want to know is
you better watch your fucking mouth. Let me tell you.
Watch your fucking mouth.
What I want to know is, so they're drinking Guinness, but there's these other things happening in the scene that I want to know. Are they Boston? Like these chains that they're wearing, these rings on their fingers. Like how Boston accurate are we talking? The peanuts on the table. That
Why are you asking? Why are you asking?
So that's so okay. So peanuts
he's
on
the
the table.
Boston guy.
No. So I'll take your questions one at a time. The peanuts on the table. That's not just a Boston thing. That's a thing that used to happen every time that I see a bar in a movie with peanuts. I turn to Guy and I say, "Why don't we have nuts at bars anymore?"
Yeah, because these freaking millennials are allergic.
Hey, here's the thing. Sometimes I'm out at a bar, I'm drinking, I want a little snack. I want to reach into the shared bowl that's been sitting there for
several days.
Weeks,
yeah.
months.
It should be there at all times. You shouldn't have to ask for it.
I want dust on the fucking almonds as I'm shoving them in my mouth.
Yeah, now there's a
here.
freaking bowl full of avocado toasts.
Yeah, fucking.
And they're $7 each.
Hey. So the chains and everything that you're describing, that's not necessarily a Boston thing. That's just like a New England. Because if you watch like a New York shit, that's just an inner city kind of thing.
I've never seen a New York thing.
The Sopranos. Like this is the same time period as the Sopranos. It's just it's guys in chains.
It's some '90s white boys trying to act like they're cool.
Exactly. No, that's what it is. It's not Boston centric. That's just a city.
So what you're saying is that this movie is not Boston enough.
I do think it's not Boston enough. I think we should have gone.
It's too broad.
We should have gone.
It's not specific enough.
I do like the touch of them at the batting cages. That was a nice touch.
That was cool.
That's very Boston.
Good location.
Honestly, that reminded me so much of growing up, man.
I
Just, hey, you're crowding the plate.
this segment just like I picture it like Hunter saying it, and it's just like on the top. It's like that's so Boston. It's just that's so Boston.
Asterisk, and then bottom of the screen. Hunter's not from Boston, and he's only been to Boston one time.
He has no
his whole life.
affiliation. He just did a book report when he was in 3rd grade.
Hey, oh.
He works for the Patriots.
Listen, I love Boston, and only I'm allowed to criticize it. And you guys actually, if you
most
anything,
segregated city in the United States.
if you say anything anti-Boston
that.
on this podcast, you're actually racist against Irish people.
But-
well, will TikTok like delete us for like Irish slurs? I guess we'll find
If
out.
anybody says the M word,
I already did.
On
It's
here.
too late.
Oh, you did? You said Mick.
I think the big question hanging over this whole thing, and this might step into the what happens the day after category, but does Ben Affleck's character in this movie become his character in the town? Is this the exact same? Does he grow up to be a bank robber?
Thank you for saying that, because I had that written down. Is this actually a prequel to The Town?
I think it might be.
Yeah.
Do we think that? So which character of the group? Because it's one of the friends that we see in this movie becomes the Renner character in The Town.
Well,
Is it-
I was hoping it'd be Damon, but he drives away at the end.
No, he gets because he ends up working with the feds because he's a mega genius. And they end up turning him into Jason Bourne.
Or is this also a prequel of The Departed, and Matt Damon becomes Matt Damon's character in The Departed?
Yeah.
I would hope not. I would really hope that's not how that character ends up because he's so mids in The Departed. He's such like a lame guy in that movie.
It's every Boston movie is connected. It's the Boston cinematic universe. You can connect all of them together.
Let's talk about Minnie Driver.
She's really good.
She's really good. I like her a lot in this movie. I haven't seen her in much else.
I felt it sagging a little bit when the movie started to get into that romance, but I was won back over when the shit hits the fan. Like that scene when they basically break up, they're like screaming at each other, getting really, really heated. That's when I was like, okay, even though the path to getting here I wasn't fully invested in, it's working for me now because there were setups that are now paying off.
Their relationship also just contains a lot of natural moments in it. Like just really, really solid acting, and she does a great job. Like I enjoyed anytime she was on screen. I was like, this feels like a real person on my screen. Head size be damned.
Also, it's a very necessary part of the entire story because like I said earlier, like everything fits together. Like there's no subplot that feels completely removed from everything else in the movie. And the biggest thing about this movie, the thing that like kind of hit me the hardest is that all of this therapy, all of these sessions between Will and Seoane, it's them helping each other.
Yeah.
It's a mutual therapy.
Totally.
And everything that you're seeing with Minnie Driver's character echoes the pain, the loss that Seoane is feeling, that Robin is feeling, because his wife is dead. He's still grieving. He's still feeling all of that pain. And seeing Will get into this relationship is like part of that connective tissue of them bridging this gap, this connection throughout the course of the movie. It all fucking works together. It's really good.
Yeah, I love that it ties into a romance, but it's not like the most prevalent theme, It doesn't like overshadow everything
it's
else
a
it's
tool.
trying to tell.
It's uses like what you said, which is a great point. B, it's just more of a window into Will as a character. You learn more about him through his conversations with her because she's very empathetic and like trying to pry underneath his veneer because she's like trying
underneath
to, like,
all the books.
Yeah, she's trying to like be with him. She's almost like a different version of Robin's character. Like she's trying to figure his deal out. And he's like, no, he's resisting.
I will say,
and then see it gives an ending. Like it gives him a thing to pursue that is not just like him.
Yeah,
because
it's not just a selfish
even
end.
the options that that Robin is giving him to an extent are all like him based. It's like, what do you want to do for yourself? And then Skarsgård is just like purely that. Skarsgård is like, how are you going to be useful? Like how are you gonna let the world use you?
Yeah, it's like you owe it to the world.
Yeah, and so she offers an alternative to him that gives him an appropriate ending, which is like, what if he just like feels something for like the first time ever and wants to pursue that?
He is really mean to her though.
Yeah,
totally.
It's not great.
Oh yeah, in that scene. Yeah.
More like
look,
bad Will Hunting.
I think you
This
guys
guy's a freaking prick.
Yeah. Hey, he's not hunting. He's killing it. You know. I don't know.
You guys are a little bit more positive on the Minnie Driver stuff than I am. It's nothing against her. I think she's really delightful in this movie. I just think that it's partially because like she doesn't really have any motivations out. Like she's like so smart and just like at Harvard, and she's just like, about like I'm nothing. Like I just want to know about like you and like who you are. So like every time that we like cut to her scenes, it kind of felt like the momentum of the movie was really kind of started to like.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Watch real quick.
Sags,
Let me just
sags a little bit.
It's just because everything, and that's the other thing is like maybe it is more of a success because every time that Matt Damon is with his friends or with Robin Williams, the movie is like really has some momentum to it. And I think a lot of the stuff, whenever we reach the third act moment, which is that big blow up scene, and then we have like Matt Damon kind of like continuously trying to throw his life away. And there's like a couple of highlights in there, but that's easily my least favorite part of the movie because it's the most movie part of the movie.
And I mean, this movie is very much a movie.
Yeah, but that is the part where
so that is saying something.
We have to have the third act conflict where she just like, come to California with me, and it's like, all right.
The way she cries is kind of funny.
Let me like sit back a little bit because I know that this is our conflict scene where he's never left Southie before. He's never left fucking Boston. Now she's asking him to move across the country. There's no way this scene won't go poorly, and
they seed it from the very beginning, though, when they're in the joke shop with the funny glasses. She just offhandedly mentions that she's going to Stanford. And that's just a perfect little script moment where it's just like, you're just planting this seed. You're not making a big deal out of it, but it's going to pay off later. Because immediately you're thinking, the scene isn't revolving around the fact that she just said that, but you're thinking like, this isn't going to work out.
Yeah,
it's also
they set it up as like a fling, you know?
Yeah.
And the bigger point I think is if she was written to be a movie character, then the biggest thing is she would not be able to hang with the boys, and that is a great script part.
That's a great
scene. Yeah, she can fucking
scene.
show with Chucky and everyone because she's like a normal human being, and that ultimately is also why she likes him, because he's like a real person.
I really laughed at her joke. Yeah, the blowjob joke. That's a great joke.
Yeah, that was great.
It's just she's an interesting character to me. You know, like she's really smart. She's like obviously like from England, which means you're smart.
It does. We know this.
Actually, it probably means you're stupid. But she's in search of something that she's not finding at Harvard, which is that, you know, douchebag who's trying to give her the literature references.
I feel like that's Gus Van Sant. Like that guy just looks like what I picture Gus Van Sant to be. Like it's just the Michael Bolton.
I picture him to look like Skarsgård.
Okay.
Because I would imagine that they're like neighbors in like, you know, northeastern Europe.
Now they mentioned Skarsgård, I just remember something I was going to say earlier when you were talking about their little kind of rapport that they have as the surrogate parents. This movie, low key, like one of the tiny little threads it has is this story of these two friends becoming friends again, because you get the sense at the beginning of the movie that they haven't talked in a while.
Definitely not, because Skarsgård is kind of embarrassed of what became of Robin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
like he almost like didn't respect him.
Yeah,
anymore.
because he's just, you know, he's choosing to slum it at this like community college, which is, it's valid because like they don't even try to make it look like he's really reaching these kids at this college. Like the kids suck there. Like he's not actually like getting through to them. So yeah, it's kind of like maybe you should go to Maybe you should go somewhere that, students give a fuck about. It seems like he's teaching like Psych 101.
Yeah.
Not, nothing.
They should probably start a podcast together.
Yeah,
I mean, it
should
worked.
definitely start
It like
podcasts.
you guys were roommates in college,
They should buy a mic.
Yeah. And
Drew, you were going to grow up to be a physicist, and Hunter, you were going to be a therapist, and
you did become that.
Right.
But and we had a big falling out where you were like, you could be doing so much more.
Right.
You could have a podcast. And we
Yeah.
were like, with who?
they
And
could
you were
have.
like,
They could
I
have
like to
just
think
had a
that
podcast
I am
together.
actually performing therapy right now with this microphone.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
And then at the very end, it's like that little scene at the end when they're like, let's go out for a drink together. I just thought that was like, this movie didn't need that because there's already so much going on. And the fact that doesn't
Yeah,
feel
they
like
tied that one together.
yeah, it doesn't feel like an add-on, like this kind of extra unnecessary thing. It's a part of the whole, and it's just like, man, it adds this extra layer to the movie where it's just like, man, it's like an extra treat of like, oh, they're friends again. They're back together. They're hanging out. I love it.
Back.
I will say, like, I do love, as much as I like didn't like the transition to like we have to do the movie thing where we introduce conflict here to this movie because things are going too well. I like that at its core, this is just a movie about like a guy who just doesn't know what he wants to do with his life. Like at the end of the day, like, yeah, he's a genius, but also it's just like, what do you want to do? Like, what do you want to do? And like,
if you look,
he does tables, but what does he want to do with those tables?
Right.
he
Stop
literally
asking.
Yeah, his job is literally like cleaning tables at the beginning of this movie.
He's like, I want to clean those tables. And
For-
you're like,
for
thank
some
you, you
reason-
did it. We had a breakthrough.
For some reason, I'd totally forgotten about the janitor thing. And like, the movie starts out at M.I.T. There's the Stellan like doing the class thing, and then it cuts to Will being a janitor.
Yeah.
And I was just like shocked. I was like, wait, what?
You're like, shut up. Come on.
Are we still doing this?
Like,
You're
but
still
that's-
janitering things?
For all intents and purposes, this movie should be way worse than it is because that's so stupid.
It's so
it's
that's
so
what I mean.
dumb.
This movie is so corny and
It's
stupid,
so
and that's
cheese.
that's
yeah.
why whenever
But we
I was
love
younger,
it.
I
It's
didn't
incredible.
like.
It's a-
No,
yeah.
because it's great. It like without the performances and without the genuine moments, this movie would suck because the script is good, but a lot of like the gleam in their eyes is not in the script. Like the real feeling that you get while watching them isn't in the script. And a lot of the monologues take away from sort of the genuineness of a certain scene. That's why most of the time I'm against monologues for that reason. It takes away from me thinking that we're in a real world because no one monologues in the real world. That said, two key ones that work are Damon's like, what? This is fucking easy to me. What do you fucking think? Like, I'll look at this. Oh, I'm sorry, it's hard for you. That's a great one because it moves the plot forward and Damon acts the fuck out of it.
You mean the initial meeting with him and Robin?
Yeah,
Incredible.
Damon makes these monologues so much more palatable. It's crazy. And then Robin's, like you haven't actually experienced the
The
work.
part-
Oh,
bench.
the Oscar scene.
Yeah, it's like
that's
is like a stupidly good monologue.
It's like that is the most Oscar-y Oscar moment. Like just like you put the reel on, you play 45 seconds of it right before it's just like nominated. Robin Williams.
It's
and
like
then
the
you just play
Olympic.
clip
It's like the
right there.
Olympic moment. It's like he clinched it.
Yeah.
He did it. The crowd goes
It's
wild.
just there. It's man. It's so good though. Of just like
It's also it
so
plays to
good.
me better than a lot of the genius monologues because it isn't a genius monologue. Like everything he's saying is very graspable and understandable, and it's not trying to be from the perspective of a 400 IQ person.
Yeah.
It's just a really smart normal guy, which is what Robin's playing. And that I don't know, it's really beautifully said. It's a smart, like well-developed thought. And it's really corny, and it doesn't matter because they're acting like absolute motherfuckers in that scene.
Well,
they're
no,
both
but it's
acting
also-
so good.
it's a thing where it's like it works almost because of the monologue preceding it of Matt Damon like doing his whole spiel about being a genius to Robin Williams. That scene with Robin Williams works because he's just like, do you think I know everything about you because I fucking read Oliver Twist? Like if you're gonna play this game of just like you know what love is, you don't fucking know what love is because you would never even open yourself up to the opportunity to experience love.
Yeah.
Like that's why that scene works so well. It's like, oh shit, you can't learn this shit in a book. Like
Going back to the janitor of it all.
Mm-hmm.
So this guy, he gets in a fight which has some cool slow motion. The way it's shot.
It's not slow motion. It's them moving in slow motion. It's not. There's no added effect. It's so funny. It's
okay.
It's so funny because it's like 97 and like I guess it's low budget, so like they don't. But it's so funny. It's so obviously fake. The fighting.
Carmine, it's me, Will. We went to kindergarten together.
It's so corny, dude. I love it. I was watching it. I'm looking at Mitts, and I'm just like, "What the fuck is this?"
The song,
cool.
Also,
the
it's
song
It's just setting the
plays.
scene for him being a badass.
Did you
Yeah,
guys
just like it's
did
like
you guys
these
notice-
guys are just dumb idiots.
There's the one guy.
dumb idiot.
One
I
of the
know,
friends-
no, seriously.
One of the friends does do like a punch like this. He does like a like front hand punch at a
Is that
guy.
Casey?
It might have been Casey.
It's
Casey doesn't know how to fucking fight a guy. Come on.
So he gets arrested,
yeah, he does.
and then he has to return to work. And this is what kind of like really jolted me in my seat. He shows up to work after getting arrested, and he's still got like blood on him. He's like dripping blood from his face, and his clothes are all like ripped up, and he's still there scribbling
Doing fucking
nonsense on the
theorems. He can't
chalkboard.
stop. This man cannot stop solving equations.
And, and then they see him and he's
It's
like,
an
"Oh no,
addiction.
it wasn't me.
Wait,
No, I'm not smart.
Sorry, sir.
I'm dumb as shit."
there was a really weird. I don't know what happened, but it was Will and Sean walking out of a room, and you just see you see the professor. What's his name again? Jerry. He's standing out there with a girl, like a random girl,
A student. I'm
a
assuming.
student, and he said, and I quote, he goes, "A difficult theorem can be like a symphony, very erotic."
Yeah,
Dude. Okay.
When I saw that, I was like, "What the fuck? Did no one catch
So,
that?"
no,
Wh-
here's the
why
thing.
is this in there?
That's not the only time that Skarsgård is hitting on his fucking students in this movie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
We
the
need-
party.
We need to cancel Professor Skarsgård, okay? Also, not just that, let's go after Robin Williams too, because the first time that we meet him teaching his community college, he says, listen, I mean, the goal of any therapist should be to nail them while they're vulnerable.
He did it to get their attention because they
Yeah.
weren't paying attention, though.
But like then
That's
he-
different.
he
That was
kind of,
great.
like,
Skarsgård
somebody-
was teetering on that edge of like, I'm just trying to fuck.
listen,
You know?
the 90s were a different time.
the scarves are hiding a bunch of hickeys.
Oh wow.
That's it. Skarsgård has been unveiled.
Oh my.
The scarves guard his hickeys.
Yes.
Drew,
Fucking yes.
Drew
That's it.
solved the theorem. Drew just solved the theorem.
not me, sir. Run away.
Oh, I just
X minus 1 squared divided. Yeah, fucking done, bro.
Yeah, I saw it.
DYDX. Fucking done, bro.
This shit's easy to me. Sorry.
I'm fucking sorry.
It's not even you're so right it's not something you can intuitively pick up on. Like something
It's
you could
not.
intuitively do is like business or like marketing or something. Like that's something that if you just have good like memory and human skills, you can
No.
actually just learn.
It's
But
like
part of the
Mozart,
movie.
Beethoven.
Not enough people like know this like they don't go this deep into math. So like they're just like, hey, he fucking knows math. You know?
yeah.
And
yeah,
so-
it also I like it because once it's established that he's really smart, it's not delved into super hard again. A movie like Rain Man, it almost bothered me because it felt like that movie over and over kept having this scene of like, whoa, like where like it like 4 different times Tom Cruise is going like, you're pretty smart.
It's the
huh?"
same
Yeah,
beat.
well,
And it's
yeah,
like,
and
yeah, we just found out.
you're
Like,
right. The best part about this movie is that his friends are never surprised by anything.
No, 'cause they already know,
they've
bro.
grown up with this shit. They're just
Yeah.
like, yeah, dude, he's the wicked smart friend.
Exactly.
Like, we don't
yeah.
have to explain
no one
it.
is
He's
no one
wicked
is
smart.
no one is repeatedly representing the audience because once the audience finds out they're good because like it's a movie character. So it's like, yeah, he's smart and now we know and you don't have to keep explaining that. Like he's just smart. I like that. I like that level of like understanding. I don't need to go too in depth. Like I don't need him to have been born in like a lab.
So the other key point to that works really well in this movie is it's definitely the best Ben Affleck scene in this movie, but it's in the third act whenever Ben Affleck is like just truly like disappointed in Matt Damon. Because he's just like, Like
fucking kill
I'm
ya.
gonna be here fucking laying brick for the rest of my life. Like there's nothing special about me. Like don't do this for yourself. Do it for fucking me, dude.
Yeah.
You gotta get the hell
That's
out
a
of here.
great
And
scene.
like it's such a good. It's the most like acting that Ben Affleck does in the entire movie.
Oh, yeah.
Hold on.
Except when he's trying to get $200.
Yeah.
It's so funny that
Dude,
he asked for $200.
I know.
They
Wearing
have
like
a lot of money.
wearing high
Yeah, but he
water,
made it out
high
with
water dress
77,
pants
dude.
and long socks that don't quite meet where the dress
Yeah.
pants meet. So you just see like this little like layer of skin in between the pants and the long socks.
He's impersonating Will.
It's great.
And-
It
and the
rocks
way-
so
Really
hard.
good.
His chief negotiator.
It's also it's good writing the way that he tries to sound smart is just saying big words, which is it's a lot
Yeah.
better than like when the movie is trying to sound smart.
Also, notably, his hair is not slicked back.
It's
It's
pushed.
It's slicked to the side.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's a side part.
Oh, okay,
With
so
a little
it's like
curl.
in between pushed
He
and
does have
slicked.
Yeah.
the
Like a
little
fucking
curl
dog.
right there.
I really wanted to bring that up because
He rocks.
that's
man.
a great little
Fucking
touch
Benny, dude.
of like you could easily derail this movie with an entire subplot of like, oh, all these jobs that Will Hunting is applying to, we're gonna like fuck them over. And it's like this whole thing where they're like planning and scheming and they're doing a whole shebang of like, oh, we're gonna use Will Hunting's genius to like pull a fast one on all these people. And they don't do that. They just give you this tiny little thing and your imagination fills in the rest that you don't even see on
you
screen.
would
Well, yeah,
think
'cause
you
it's
would think that they would like use it to do small time crime like before the movie even begins. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Don't you think if you had a friend who was like a mega genius, wouldn't you like
You'd
just
go.
walk up to people and be like, "Hey, I bet my buddy knows more than you."
You do like the Better Call Saul thing where you like
Exactly.
rope-a-dope people in bars and take their money. That's what you fucking
Yeah,
do.
go to the Harvard bar and just
You-
just make out. Like,
Yeah.
get so much.
But the
so
thing
paid.
is, like, that scene, there's no, like, malicious intent in anything. It's almost just, like, out of, like, boredom. Like, it's just, like, a thing to just do, like, entertain themselves is, like, take advantage of,
yeah,
like, well, he's just smart. We're just going
But
to
yeah, that,
do this thing.
the speech he gives Damon is awesome. It's just interesting for the character. It's a good turn because you don't think much of Chucky at all. He doesn't have any depth, and then they give it to him, and it's very empathetic depth. Like it's like he's a human who understands the depth of what Will is. Like he understands the significance of Will. He's just like, in the meantime, like I'll be your friend, but like you gotta get. What are you doing, bro?
Yeah, no,
Get
it's
the fuck
like
out. That's what I say to you every day, Hunter.
you do always say every time
You gotta go to Vegas.
every time you see me at this podcast, you're like, Hunter, one day, my dream is that one day I'll show up here to record this podcast and you won't be here.
But it's just because I hate you.
You're forgetting that he's on probation until he's 21.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He still has to go to counseling 2 days a week until his 21st birthday.
Isn't it crazy how I'm 19, guys? You guys are just hanging out with a child.
I know. You're podcasting at the level of a 27-year-old. I swear.
Dude,
I
it's
swear.
insane.
You have photographic memory of film. You don't have to take any notes. That computer is off.
It's literally just black right now. I just wanted to look cool like you guys. It seemed like I needed a computer here.
I don't know if you guys.
I
have
wanted to
been
make
looking.
Danny look like an idiot because he doesn't have a computer.
It's literally the whole screen is just Tom Brady shirtless the whole time.
Oh,
That's all it
Yeah.
is. There's nothing else.
Oh,
you guys
yeah.
can't see me. I have a baseball glove right here, right that I'm finishing
Ew.
Oh, hell.
The same one from Little League, baby.
in.
okay.
It's not mine.
So to
Why
that,
Why did
someone's-
he have
it's
to
not-
nut in the baseball glove?
Dude, that's what.
Why did he have to
that's
do
just
that?
It's just.
It
a
was very
thing
important
that is
in his
framed.
character development. Okay.
And it's weird.
no,
when
he
that
used it for
scene-
cleanup. It was just for
It's weird when that scene comes in the movie because it's in between
Phrasing
two
again.
emotional moments.
I can
Of
name
two
100 things I would
emotional
rather
scenes.
use to clean up nut than
Inside-
a baseball
which,
glove.
You have to figure out which hole it went into.
Ew, stop.
Have you ever used a baseball glove? It's like this weird felt material inside. It's not.
I can't do this.
I have.
Not for me.
I have
You have
thoughts. okay?
used a baseball glove? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying that I have thoughts.
He's from
Okay,
Boston.
Benny.
Oh, this
I
is a
got-
Boston thing. See, we don't know.
Yeah.
Everyone
See, so that's
nuts
the
in
thing. So,
baseball.
well, it depends. It depends on which neighborhood you're from. Okay, from Southie, we're using baseball gloves.
I hate
Let
that
me
he's
tell
using
you.
the word Southie.
So rough.
I hate it.
Um,
I hate
know.
it.
You love it.
Leather.
I will say, because Drew, you've been very critical of like the math guy nerdy scenes of the nerdy monologues. The one that does work, just because it's really funny, is the NSA scene of the why shouldn't I work for the NSA? Okay, so I have some thoughts, and then just like
That's honestly
2.5
that's woke as hell.
minutes.
He's woke. He's
2.5
like, yeah, I'm not
minutes.
gonna blow up some get on it. Danny, that's what you should say to your boss. Because that's what you do every
That's what you do. You're building
Dude,
bombs.
I literally did it last night. I got drunk enough where I was just like, this is why I fucking hate doing this.
I hate being a drone pilot.
You're like, I don't think this Call of Duty that they gave us, I don't think this is a game. I think I'm actually just bombing children right now while I'm playing this.
It's like Ender's Game.
It's toys, dude.
But yeah, that does work. It also, it holds up in terms of wokeness. NSA holds up in terms of relevance very much.
Yeah.
Love to see it. The monologues shouldn't work, and it's like you said, Hunter, because you were watching with subs. I think I may have been too, and that may have contributed to me thinking less of them because
I had to turn them off.
well, because word for word, those monologues are not very smart. They're just fast, and that is literally the Ben Shapiro effect.
Yeah.
Um,
That's one of the ones that's
Straight
actually
shooter,
more well
baby.
written.
that's the straight shooter
He
effect.
is a straight
He's
shooter.
not from Boston, is
Um,
he? Dear God.
No, hell no.
Okay.
No,
Just
Didn't
checking.
need more reasons to hate
What?
Boston.
He did.
He grew. Oh my God.
It all adds up. It all.
I was
adds
so-
up.
Oh,
I was
because
so
his dad was like an
afraid.
Ivy League professor at Harvard.
Oh, yeah. No,
And
that does
Harvard.
make sense.
Shapiro.
You know, I might have gone to school with Ben
Oh,
because I
yeah.
also grew up in Boston.
Yeah.
You went to the bar and you like challenged him when he was trying to hit on your girl.
Yeah, I did. I was like, you're just reciting shit that you read from fucking like
Yeah.
Mar.
What
Peter
history
Rabbit
class?
Hill
What
Mar.
history class did you take, Ben? Was it a
Uh,
survey?
It's rather
Dude,
elementary.
Man, surveys. Man, remember surveys?
Okay, so going back to the setup that happens in that that critical Ben Affleck scene where he says that he hopes that he knocks on Will Hunting's door and he's not there, right? That's like one of the most obvious like setups of
Oh, yeah.
all time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you know it's coming.
One of these days, I hope that the end of the third act will will come.
So
That's
it's
when
like
the tears start rolling in. You know.
I know, but it's like when it happens, I understand that you need thematic resolution, and it's like on a thematic level it works, but practically, like in the previous scene, they gave him a car and told him that it was to go to California.
There's
They didn't
0%
direct-
chance he drove
No.
that piece of shit.
Yeah.
That's the other
to Cal-
thing.
Dude, did you when they open up the hood?
engine?
Yeah, man.
Why did you show the engine?
What
if then
the
you're...
fuck?
That-
That's a lawnmower engine,
So,
man.
That doesn't
he's-
make
he's
it. That doesn't
breaking
make
down-
it past Pennsylvania.
Yeah, no, he's breaking down
Yeah,
outside
but then
of Philly.
he just has to like get to a library in that town and like open one book and he'll know how to like build a new car.
It's just $1.50 in late charges. That's all it is.
Yeah, so that's the other thing is that the triumphant final shot doesn't result in anything.
I'm really expecting him, like when he opened it, to be like, "That's a piece," and like they're opening it, and when you look at like through the rear window, you can see like a fucking random hole that there's no
Wait,
fabric on
though.
top.
I don't think that they get him it to go to California. They get it so he can go to his
Yeah,
Fed
no,
job.
Yeah,
They
it was
do
his
in
job
the
in
town. This'll
Cambridge.
help you get to
It was his job in
Cambridge back and
Cambridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought they said
yeah.
Stanford.
No, that
No.
would be that would be so stupid.
Well, they're stupid guys. I don't
Guys,
know.
here's the
They're
thing.
dumb guys, and we love them, dude.
No,
They
they're
also-
just like, yeah, you work like an hour away or whatever. Like, here's a car. You know, because he took a
okay,
job.
No, but my point still stands because they bought him the car. He walks up to the door. The car is clearly not in the driveway. So
yeah,
he's
why are
not
they still
home.
picking him up?
Why are
That's
they?
a bigger
why are
question.
they
Is why are
driving
they
him?
picking him up if they got him a car? But I do have some criticisms of Benny and the gang of how good of friends are these, because Ben Affleck asked him like, "Hey, you still seeing that girl?" And he's like, "No, we broke up a few weeks back." Hey, Come on, be
A
more
few
involved in your
weeks.
best friend's life. Like that. You're
Every
gonna know
time
they
I
broke
see
up
you,
a
I
few
ask if you're
weeks
still
back.
with your wife.
Yeah. You're like, I haven't seen Guy in a
Is
while.
that still working
Did you
out?
guys
No,
get
no.
a divorce
I'm like, no, we
yet?
broke up
Yeah.
about like 2 years ago. Thanks for asking.
No divorce? All good?
They don't talk about their fucking feelings. These guys. You
Yeah.
kidding?
Not even your
Fuck you.
feelings, just like, hey, that girl that we met before,
She was
where's
cool.
she at?
I mean,
She
like
didn't come to the
Robin
bar
said,
last
the
night.
reason they're friends is because if he asked them to get to him with a baseball bat, like they would. That's the
Yeah.
reason they're friends, because
Yeah.
like that's
They're
the
just their
those are the
boys.
only person that had his back then.
Right.
So like their reason is not like, oh, you asked about this girl I saw, you know,
Yeah.
because he's had sex. He
Mhm.
said it.
He's had a couple lays.
He's had a couple
Yeah.
lays.
These guys have the brotherly strength of 12 brothers.
Yeah.
Just
Ernie,
three
wait,
guys.
this was your first time watching it. Did you think that they were all like brothers
I mean,
at first? Or like
the
adopted
Affleck-
orphan brothers or
the
something?
Affleck brothers, I was like, these guys are brothers. Like they
The
just have
Affleck
that.
Damon, you just
Yeah.
thought that they were brothers.
They have that energy.
They
So
they
it's
have
like,
great like bickering
the
comedy
banter.
moments. Yeah,
it's
very funny.
Really good.
I was wondering that whenever I was watching this, I was like, I haven't seen this movie in a while. Are they actually brothers? No, there's no way there's 12 of these fuckers.
There's no way they won't be blonde. Damon. He also. I like that they give him the backstory of just like going foster home to foster home.
Oof. Yeah.
It really perpetuates
And the
the stereotype
flashback.
that every kid who goes to foster homes is a genius.
But yeah, here's the thing.
They're wicked smart.
Parents out there, abandon your kid. Kid's gonna be a genius.
Mhm.
If movies have taught us anything,
Mhm.
it's that your kids will either be a superhero or a genius.
Fuck yo. Harvard.
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 This is
God,
the
you
Harvard
guys,
bar.
You guys got to work on your A's. Your Boston A's are rough. Let me tell you.
Okay. Any last thoughts before the categories, or should we go ahead?
I have thoughts, but they can come up in the categories.
Let's go.
Okay. What is the best Robinism? There's some heavy contenders here. Every therapy scene could
Is-
technically be
Yeah.
a Robinism
I don't know.
that you
Mine's
nominate.
mine's the fart scene.
I was gonna say the
I-
fart scene is I think because it has the funny Robinisms, but also it is like very tender and like
Yeah.
emotional.
Because it gets tender right at the end. It starts off very funny. They're both genuinely laughing. And then by the end of it, it's like, and that's what I remember about my wife before she passed. And it's like,
Tough.
and you could see a little bit of remorse in Matt's face
Yeah.
where he's just like, that's why I shouldn't have brought her up, you know?
I really love the introductory scene when you just first meet him and he calls out that girl for her oral fixation. Thought that was really
That
good.
rocks.
And I also really like the baseball story when he tells the story about like the whole
That's
I
so
gotta go
good.
see about a girl.
See
Like,
about a girl.
I
that
think
saying
that's
is still used.
Yeah.
Like everywhere. I got to go see about a, like my coworkers say it, you know, which is like, oh, I got to see a girl, you know?
I think that's
Like
Oh,
it's like where
oh,
they don't
bro,
want to
dude,
do
I
a
gotta go
fucking
see about a
meeting
girl.
at 4:00, and it's like they talk about their wives, obviously, and they're like, I gotta go see about a girl.
go
you
see
know?
about a dump I gotta take.
I have one other. It's not a winner here, but a nominee that I just want to shout out. This scene is the scene between him and Stellan Skarsgård where they're debating like what Matt Damon's future should be, and it's the Gerald Lambeau versus Ted Kaczynski scene at the bar.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just really good. Of like, who's Gerald Lambeau? Nobody knows who that is, and it's just like, and then describes like the same path of like a artist or like a genius who was misunderstood. And they're like, who's this guy? Ted Kaczynski. Oh, it's the Unabomber. Like of just like how genius in the wrong hands can be
Yeah.
handled, and it works out well towards like the climax of this of the movie. That scene.
That's another
because
one of the
it's-
more smartly written scenes in the movie. Actually,
It's one of those things where it's smart, and at the end of the day, it's just two dudes deciding what one guy's future should be instead of letting him decide for himself.
It's just
what
it's a
future should
fun it's a conversation you don't usually hear in movies like this, which like there's a big difference between a genius and a mega genius.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it is important to delineate.
I also got to shout out the park bench scene.
be. Yeah,
That one,
that's
Because
that's
that
my
was the
vote.
moment after they had their first one where he kicked him out.
yeah, exactly.
And then he's just like, first thing he's like, come on, let's go. And then they go to the park, and yeah.
That's
a heavy
my vote
scene.
because that requires the actor to feel like they have lived a fulfilled life, but also not be fulfilled in that moment. And I think that's kind of what Robin was like born to play.
That's that was gonna be my pick for my favorite scene, because of those same reasons. Because it is just it's. So
I think my vote still has to go to the World Series story, just because when I think back on this movie, what I really love about it is again that point of like how it encapsulates everything I love about Robin Williams, and that scene I think gives you everything. Like he's standing up, he's going big, he's super animated, and then he brings it home with that warmth and that tenderness that he can also give.
One other scene, and this is kind of encroaching on the next category of
The best moment.
scene of best moment, but I mean, talking to that warmth, it doesn't really beat It's Not Your Fault.
Yeah.
Like
that's the best moment, I think, for sure.
that moment is just like, because it's, it's a great moment because on paper it doesn't work. And that's kind of like, it's just pure actor chemistry, like the fire that's happening in that scene and everything that you've watched leading up to it that makes that moment that would otherwise you just read it and you just think that's corny as hell, makes it work. Makes it play.
It rocks so hard. It also works because it's been preceded by a movie that has really made a point to make itself look smart. But then it gets down. That scene is just like the caveman brain of psychology. Is like, what is really bothering him? It's that like he feels like what has happened to him is his own, doing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it gets to like the id and the ego at the same time. It's cool.
Well, it's almost like the entire movie, all those therapy scenes, they just put you in the perspective of someone that is going through therapy. And it's like the breakthrough doesn't happen right away. You have to go through these steps, and like the structure of these scenes and where they're placed in the film, it puts you in that space. It puts you in that perspective so that when that breakthrough comes, it doesn't come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
You've led up to it. You've had all the runway to give you that catharsis. And yeah, that's the moment. I mean, I don't know if you guys want to shout out any other ones, but that's like the scene from the movie. It's the scene from like Robin's entire career almost.
Yeah,
like
it's the breakthrough. Yeah.
If we're going outside of Robin moments, I mean, everything in the bar of meeting Skylar for the first time up through How About Them Apples is just, that all just rocks. It's all like so iconic to the point where it's been like parodied and you kind of like lose sight of how it is in the moment. I mean, it's the same thing for It's Not Your Fault, where it's been just so parodied and satire to the point where you forget about like what created that in the first place.
It was on Jay and Silent Bob too, right?
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, it's been everywhere. Like, this is one of those movies where it's just it just percolates into pop culture all over.
I did want
SNL.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a few moments, but we did like kind of highlight them throughout the movie. I think those are the two like best iconic moments from this movie.
All right. What would you do, fellas? W.I. Dean.
Who are we?
You tell me.
We can't be Matt Damon.
But what if you are? If you're a genius, but you're also from South Boston.
No.
Southie.
So here's the thing. At this point, 97, the Pats are coming off of a Super Bowl loss to the Packers. I'm getting into sports analytics. I'm going to become the Billy Bean of football.
That doesn't even exist yet.
I'll become the Billy Bean of baseball.
You read a book. You read a book about sports analytics from the library.
I did.
It took him about 5 seconds.
Here's the thing. We learned that you actually don't even need to read about these things. You just inherently know these things.
No, he looks at the pages on the book for about 1 second. He's like flipping.
No, but he's
flipping.
forming theorems that like don't exist right now. So he reads a bunch of math stuff and he just creates analytics. The Sloan Conference, which is held in Boston, is now just known as the Hunting Conference. And I am now the sports analytics.
I don't know.
Guy.
I'm gonna. If I'm him, if I'm Damon, I probably move to Miami and then I do that with football analytics.
Okay, cool.
What about if you're a a math professor,
And you come across them,
and you're like, we're putting this very difficult theorem out there.
What if you're that weird dude who just like follows around Stellan Skarsgård, like the assistant professor?
I felt so bad.
who's
We
just,
didn't
like-
talk about him enough.
He's just
I feel
there.
so bad for him.
He's so
Look,
cucked.
Here's the
He's
thing.
he's so
He is
jealous.
so cocked, man. He's watching, dude. The scene where him and Matt are just hugging, like, "Oh, we fucking did it!"
disapproves.
And like they're like, if you look in the background, it's just him going like,
Well, then you get the close up of him just kind of shaking his head.
yeah.
The scene should
He
would
wants
this movie
to
have been better
fuck
if there was a
Stellan
side?
Skarsgård.
What if there was a side plot to this movie? Would this make this better or worse? Where the assistant professor Stellan Skarsgård gets so jealous that he's like, "I'm gonna fucking kill that guy," and there's an assassination attempt on Will Hunting.
That's
or in
good.
an alternative universe, he was secretly whispering these things to Matt Damon in his sleep, and that's how Matt Damon knew everything. But he was the real genius all the time. So it was really good assistant professor
Oh
the
my
entire
God.
time.
Okay, here's the one that
Good
might be the key.
unnamed assistant professor.
The one that might be the key. You're Minnie Driver. You're minding your own business at a bar, just trying to get your way through, intense, like, what is it, organic
Organic chemistry.
Chemistry.
Yeah, Orgo.
and you get involved with this guy, and he's a genius, and he's also like really mean to you and kind of a huge piece of shit.
No,
You move to California, you are doing great in
Yeah.
Stanford.
Then knock, knock, knock.
You
He
meet
shows
a little guy. His name is
I'm
Mark
fucking here.
Zuckerberg.
I mean, that's not going well.
I've learned my lesson with trying to overcome like severe childhood
Well,
issues.
no,
with
maybe,
a partner.
but like you really think that you can change him?
It's just not gonna happen. He's always gonna kind of suck as a partner. He's
Yeah,
not,
and then
he's
the
not
red
cured.
flag-
You don't get cured from
What
like
if-
a month of therapy.
No, but what if so he reads some books and he's like, I'm actually the master of cunnilingus now.
What?
Because he can master abilities that just
Wait,
have no
so now,
bearing on
now
his
this
ability.
is like everything everywhere all at once, where he just by going to the library, he can
I mean,
transform.
that's basically what he is. He basically is every version. He is every timeline of himself, except for the version that can feel.
Damn.
that meeting, if he makes it to fucking Stanford, which he's not gonna make it in that car, he's gonna have to fly there or hitchhike or something. That's not gonna go well. She's not gonna be welcoming him with open arms. Like, no way.
I don't know, because if I were with like even her about to become a doctor, she has to be thinking like this. There's probably like maybe a 5% chance that this guy becomes the wealthiest person on earth. Like, you know what I mean?
That's a good point.
That's what I would be
Might have
thinking.
to lock it
If I
down.
had a partner like that, I would be like I'm gonna have to put up
Strap
with some
in.
shit
You're
because
buying
this
you're
could-
buying low. You're
this-
buying at as low as this person
Yeah.
will ever be.
This could end up becoming the most profitable divorce I ever make.
That's true. The real question is, at what point do you pull the trigger on the divorce papers? That's the real
It's
you
question.
got to give it at least 2 decades.
I don't
Two and
know.
a half.
He just like
You're like, I'm so unhappy. please divorce me.
it's 97. What? Right. So he's got to get in on the tech boom.
Yeah.
Oh no, yeah, no doubt. Well, he's moving to Southern California.
He's moving to San
He's def-
Francisco. No,
he's
no,
definitely-
Stanford is in Silicon Valley.
Yeah,
Like,
so he's
it's
just
San
moving to
Fran.
that. He's creating like, well, Apple exists, but he's like just getting in on like Apple and everything. So like he's just in on everything because he can see the future for shit, basically.
But does he understand technology?
That's
He was
true.
he was a math
only-
guy
We only ever see
and
him do
also
theoretical-
organic chemistry.
You know, he shares a lot of traits with you, Danny. He's like very theoretically driven.
The one thing I know is
Does he have any
Not even
practical
close.
the
abilities?
second
You're
the,
basically the Will Hunting.
the second he starts being like, you know what? No, I should use my like brain to like write a book. I'm done. I'm getting rid of him, because that's what goes wrong with a lot of mega smart people is they think, oh yeah, that means that I'll be good at art, and no, it doesn't. Sorry, honey.
Well,
dummies are good at art.
Rich people don't write their own books. So you just talk to someone
that's
else
true.
and they write it.
Absolutely. But also, it's like how James Dolan like has a band. The guy who owns the New York Knicks. He has a band and it's like the most dog shit thing you've ever heard. The Winklevoss twins have a band.
Turns out, also maybe James Dolan isn't good at like owning a professional.
Well, he's also
sports team either.
he's a bad example because he's also just a fail son. Like his dad is the billionaire.
I figured the Winklevi would just be
Winklevi.
DJs. There'd just be like twin DJs like
You would
next
think.
to each other.
Dude, I heard that
Like in Scott
Winklevi
Pilgrim.
I heard that the Winklevi were gonna do a secret set at Burning Man this year.
I'm sure they did. Is this good Robin or bad Robin?
Yeah, this is awesome.
Great
I think
Robin.
I think
This
it's bad
might-
Robin.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, it's great Robin. It's some of the best Robin.
I think this might be my favorite Robin. I mean, the only other contenders are Dead Poets, Aladdin, Birdcage. Like this is in that top tier. It's easily top 3, knocking around like the 2 or 1 spot.
I would say so. I think that as a movie, I think I like Dead Poets more than Good Will Hunting, but I think that like this is a better Robin showcase than Dead Poets because at the end of the day, Dead Poets is kind of like it's about the kids.
Yeah, it
really.
is.
Like it's an ensemble movie in the truest form, and this
My
this is
son-
a classic supporting actor role that he's in here.
I mean, it's also like that role is very much like why he got this role.
Yeah.
It's the most similar role that you could have.
Well, aside from Awakenings, he is playing a similar character
It
to
just
what he is
works
in
this
Awakenings,
one.
but he's not sleepwalking in this movie, which helps.
How many Robins out of 10? It's like a 9. I mean, in terms of recalibrating it,
If we're recalibrating towards warmth, just general warmth,
when's he going to be
I don't know.
warmer?
here's the thing. I think that he does get a penalty for choking out his patient. I think I cannot give you a 10 if you are a therapist and you are willing to like.
Yeah,
okay.
but like you kind of had to use that to conquer Will Hunting.
So
you
that
know?
is the thing. I did have this. I had a secret category which ties in here, which is Robin a good therapist? Because here's the thing. Therapists shouldn't talk about themselves as much as
a lot of touching.
Yeah. Well, a lot of touching, a lot of just like fucking talking about your own life.
Yeah.
Guess what? If I'm paying you for therapy, I don't want to hear about your fucking life. Okay. Like I'm there.
Hey man, Matt Damon's not paying his ass.
Well,
Skarsgård
Skarsgård is.
And Skarsgård really, it's also mostly just a favor. He's like, listen, I know you don't really do therapy anymore, but like you're licensed, so like,
Well,
just,
they're also
deal
kind
with
of
this kid, please.
yeah. Well, they're at the end of the rope. This
They're
is
like,
like
"You're
therapist
from
number
Southeast."
5.
Yeah, they're like, will you just like handle this fucker?
You were also like a little bit of a shithead, so like you probably know how to
yeah,
handle
this
right?
kid's in danger of not reaching his potential. You know, like you. So will you talk to him? Make sure he doesn't become you.
You guys can bond over
Yeah.
whatever.
I'd say like an 8.5.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to recalibrate it just towards warmth.
Yeah.
Like usually this
No, 'cause
this
they're-
category has been about like how big and manic he goes because he's known for going so fucking manic. And as we've gotten deeper, this category like has just been all over the place because sometimes like he goes that much and it's just like it doesn't work. And I think it's just like it's not a linear thing. It's like it's almost like the color picker on Photoshop where it's just like a wheel you can pick like on a radial scale different areas. And I think this one is just like the most balanced color palette. It's just like perfectly chosen colors that all complement and balance each other.
But
it's
I would-
the right flavors of each thing he can do.
I would say though that a bigger version of that, where he has a lot of warmth, but also gets to be fully manic, is Good Morning Vietnam. To
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
That
No,
movie.
that's-
That movie isn't as good.
No,
Um,
that might be the most balanced. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's early. That's like one of the first ones we watched.
89, yeah.
So I would agree with like an 8.5.
I mean, it depends. So your best Robin is that Dead Poets Robin?
I
Well,
don't know. I like this one a lot.
I mean, it
this might
depends.
be it.
I
Are we
I
talking
would
about
give it
best
a-
Robin or most Robin?
If best Robin is Dead Poets, I think this is like a 9.5.
Yeah.
I think he did a phenomenal job. It was like he's not the funny, goofy guy, but it's also like the most touching Robin.
Right.
You know? It's
Well,
a very
yeah.
touching, warm Robin, and it's very. It hits home. It hits really hard.
It
I-
does.
And
I don't know what to do with the scale. The scale doesn't make any sense anymore.
Throw
what
it
we're
out the
doing. It's-
window.
do any of these fuckers?
All right, last category is recaging couch. So where do you put Nicolas Cage in this movie?
Recaging, is that what you call it?
as Casey Affleck. I want him as one of the bros in this
Yeah.
group.
I want
Just
a
going
young,
insane. I want him the one who's just like, oh, I swallowed a bug. Like that's the.
That-
Oh, so
that's
you're
how Nick
taking
Cage in there.
Affleck, Casey Affleck out.
Yeah, he's fine. He can go.
Yeah, there's not a lot of kind of throwaway roles other than that one.
What about him as Minnie Driver?
Ugh.
He also has a big head, so you don't have to change anything there.
I had some of your pickle.
That was good.
It was such a genuine moment. They were eating
Yeah.
burgers and fries and just made out right there while he's still holding his burger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what they eat in Boston? They eat burgers and
I
fries?
thought it was clam
So-
chowder.
Well, that's the thing. I feel like that was a reshoot, and they shot it in L.A. because
they chowder and donuts.
you drinking Dunkin' and you eating chowder.
Okay.
I don't even remember what I was going to say. You completely cut off my train of thought by saying,
Derailed.
oh, another thing. It's very Boston to lead every kiss all tongue. Because whenever anybody's going in for a kiss in this movie, it's all... It's like
Ew.
it's like a scooping of the tongue. I don't know if you guys caught that because I watched it and I like my tummy started like
Yeah, it's a
rolling
little
around in the
unsettling.
worst way.
It's so gross.
Of like
Uh-oh, someone's starting to have those feelings.
I started my tummy started rumbling, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, so in terms of recasting the rest of the movie, I feel like you can't. I mean, we always bring up the same like 90s guys, but you can't get better than Damon and Robin. Like,
Obviously, it's Leo for Damon.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the same Boston-ness to it at all.
and then with
without
Robin, it's
Damon.
like I feel like this was built around him. Like, was that in the Wikipedia? Like, did they have him in mind from the start when they wrote it? Because that
I
feel
doubt it because they didn't have the clout to get him.
Let's wait. New
For
category.
sure,
for
you know what I
this.
mean?
What Boston guys can we insert into this movie? Like, where does Mark Wahlberg fit into this movie?
He's definitely one of the fuckhead friends.
Mark Wahlberg and Nick Cage just replace the other two guys in the group.
Yeah, why not? That'd be great.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode for our review of Good Will Hunting. Unfortunately, we had some technical difficulties in the last few minutes of this recording, so I'm just jumping in here to do the outro. So thank you all for listening and watching, and thank you, Danny, for coming on the show. Please be sure to rate, review, subscribe, like, and comment. Let us know what you thought of the movie in the comments below, and visit webotamic.net for the full archive of episodes and to get every new episode delivered in your inbox. You can also become a donor, and I'd like to thank all those beautiful donors that support the show. We love you, and we'll be back next week with more Robin, more new movies and TV, and all the goodies in the world of pop culture. So thank you so much. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.